Well, hello, friends. Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis here with Inside Arkansas on the Pod to Palace for the post-game reaction show. Another day, another loss for Arkansas. That's just the way it works around here nowadays. Hogs fall to 0-5 in SEC play, the worst start in SEC history for Arkansas basketball. 83-65 loss to Missouri. It's interesting that Arkansas loses a game by 18 points on a night where they score the first points of the game on a dunk by Jonas Adu and then give up an 18-0 run, and they were never in the ball game after that. So, yeah, it's bad, real bad. Michael Jackson bad. Tough stuff for the Razorbacks, and here we are to talk about it. This one is going to be very much about you guys because I know people are ticked off. They want to vent, they want to let it out, and we're going to spend a majority of the time tonight here getting to your chats. But Andrew, let's get your first thoughts, buddy. Another day, another L for the Hogs.
I mean, just another disappointing result, another disappointing showing for this Arkansas Razorback basketball team. If there's a silver lining or two, they didn't completely roll over and quit, which they had plenty of opportunities to do. I mean, right out the gate, they had one. Big Z looked awesome. Big Z had some really awesome moments in this game.
That's our silver lining.
Out of Big Z, but that's where the fun ends there, Curtis. It isn't lost on me that this is Arkansas is now the laughingstock of the SEC. Clearly, they've been building towards that for a while. Now at 0-5, I believe South Carolina is also winless, if I'm not mistaken. So they're not the only horrible team in the league, but Arkansas is without a doubt the butt of every joke in SEC basketball right now. And this game coming against a team that was 0-18 last year is just really what sticks out to me. Obviously, this Missouri team is much improved. They're way better than they were last year, and they'll win some more games. Hell, they're projected for the NCAA tournament right now. But it just, again, I feel like it's kind of a microcosm of where we're at, where every SEC team is going up this way, and Arkansas is going down this way. Arkansas continues to just be the same team with no identity, no real structure, no real semblance of who they want to be, who they are, and you're going to continue to get the same results. I'm sure this team will play better at some point in the year, Curtis, but my hope that they are really going to turn around and go on this awesome run is completely dissipated by this point.
I am not sure that they're going to play better at some point this year. I continue to say that, like, oh, they're going to eventually start playing better basketball. Oh, they're going to eventually start winning some games. But man, every time we watch them, it's one thing after another. You mentioned how they didn't quit. Like they made a couple pushes at a couple different times. I think for me, man, it's just, there's such a big difference in the way you lose games sometimes. And I know there's a lot of Kentucky fans out there watching this right now and they're enjoying it. I'm going to use them as an example here because Kentucky lost at home today to Alabama. But if I was BBN, I'm encouraged and I feel pretty damn good about my team when I go to bed tonight, despite a loss at home. Arkansas faced an uphill battle on the road in this game, given the way Missouri was playing, given the way Arkansas was playing. But what did you see that makes you optimistic about what lies ahead? Arkansas does not play winning basketball. They just don't. And that's where they're at right now. Every time they had a chance to make it interesting, because they did, they would kind of claw their way back, an 8-0 run here, a 6-0 run there. But what happened? Every time you had a chance to make it interesting, you pissed down your own leg. Cut it to 10 at one point in the second half, and then Boogie blows a layup, and then next possession, DJ passes it off the back of Billy Richmond's head, and then next thing you know, it's back up to 16 or 18 again. You cut it to 10 again a little bit later. You get a steal. You have a fast break. Boogie throws a horrible lob. Okay, well, Trevin gets fouled. He misses 2 free throws, and then Carter Knox fouls a jump shooter, and then Missouri makes both free throws. And then Carter Knox bobbles a pass right at him, right in his hands. And then Missouri scores a layup and it's back up to 14. It's like every time they had an opportunity, they had to make sure to remind us that they are not a good basketball team right now. And that is the most frustrating part for me because there have been, believe it or not, moments during this stretch, like even after the Florida game, as poorly as they shot and everything like that, there were things about that game where I was like, okay, there might be a little bit of progress in the process here, but that the way it went down at LSU, the way it went down at Missouri today, I don't feel that at all. Very discouraged.
Very discouraging. And I think you nailed it right there. I mean, there's moments of glimmers of hope There's little flashes, especially from individual players, but it just doesn't all add up to be a real team. And look, this is a very familiar Calipari story of, oh, he's got a really talented team and they underachieve. You know, it's crazy, Curtis. As many times as Kentucky fans say that and kind of throw that in our face of like, hey, we told you that was going to happen, that you were going to have a really talented team and they were going to underachieve. Curtis, you could make a very real argument, and it's not even that hard of one to make, that this year with Arkansas is the most egregious example of it. Because all those teams that you reference and we point and laugh at from Kentucky back in the day were at least good in the regular season, or at least would beat bad teams, or at least would have good stretches throughout the regular season before ultimately failing. And a lot of times you're looking at 1 or 2 games or maybe a little stretch here of choking and underachieving. This is a top to bottom failure for this basketball team, where it's crazy that it's gotten this bad. And hell, honestly, those glimmers of hope to me, where you see Big Z play well, where you see Trevin show up and make some plays here, you see little Adu Thero dunks or whatever it is. Hell, even Carter Knox even had a few moments of light there. It almost makes it worse to me that this team really has not found any identity and not found a way to come together and really be a team.
Yeah, frustrating stuff. Man. You know, and it's it's just crazy. You know, Calipari finally went for the lineup tweak that folks have been begging for. Like, hey, you said you want to go big, dude. He did that, and he moved Adu Thero up to the 3, inserted Trevin Brazil into the starting lineup, what they do, and then obviously Boogie and DJ in the backcourt. Didn't work. I mean, it's like, I mean, thank you for at least trying or making that effort or whatever. He talked about in the pregame. I was listening to the pregame show with Coach Z interviewing him. He said, yeah, like, we're going to try to do some things to get us going and to be aggressive. So we're going to press early. It's like they tweaked the lineup. It didn't work. They pressed early. The first time they did it, Missouri gets out of the trap. They get a wide open 3. And it's like, oh, we're going to run some zone. I don't know if they even ran any zone or not. It wouldn't have mattered. Just a disaster at the start. I mean, they were playing behind the 8 ball the entire game there. Man, that was some damn good basketball in the first half by Missouri. 9 made threes. And it's funny because Arkansas had probably as many open threes as Missouri did in the first half of this basketball game. Arkansas goes 3 of 14. Missouri goes 9 of 17. They were stroking it out there. They assisted on 15 of their 19 made buckets in the first half. I mean, they got whatever they wanted, buddy, offensively. And defense is like the one thing that Arkansas has at least somewhat been able to hang their hat on. Like, I'm not saying it's elite by any means, but it's a hell of a lot better than the offense has been. It's been what's kept them in some of these games when they've shot 30% early in SEC play. And man, Mizzou just took it to them. And a lot of credit to them and to Dennis Gates. That's a hell of a turnaround, because you go over in the league. And I know his situation was a little bit different because he took over a program that was really struggling, had a really good first year. I know they got upset in the NCAA tournament, but a lot of people get fired for that. And I think it's only happened one other time. And for him to have the turnaround that he has, those guys play hard, they're physical, they're aggressive, and they kicked Arkansas's tail tonight. More power to them. They deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the first like 10 minutes of the game, Curtis, felt like a pickup game, like very much like a pickup game, really on both sides. And for Missouri, they were shooting like it was a pickup game. They were getting looks that they wanted. It's like Arkansas is at that point where you could play the like don't have anything to lose card. And so I did think Arkansas played very loose, where it was like, hey, the team that has nothing to lose, a lot of times we say that's a dangerous team in sports. But really, this was the first time, like you mentioned, that it actually carried over to the defensive end, where that's kind of been something that's keeping Arkansas in a lot of these games. And so they really just couldn't afford to slip. And you mentioned the 15 assists on their made buckets, and Missouri, I don't know what their percentage was on wide open threes, but it seemed like every time they got a wide open one, they nailed it. Arkansas just isn't a great shooting team, which we kind of knew coming in, and they've had moments where the percentage wasn't bad, but they just don't have the firepower to compete with some of these other teams. And it's kind of crazy that you're on the floor with Missouri and you're like, yeah, we just don't have the shot making to
just
compete
overwhelmed.
In this game. But that's kind of that first half stretch. Arkansas played pretty well after that and kind of overcame it, but that was kind of that was it for Arkansas. They couldn't, once they got behind the 8 ball, this team is just not good enough, especially on the offensive end, to dig their way out of that.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. After that 18-0 run, it was curtains for this game. You're 100% right. Like, this is just not a team that's mentally or physically tough enough to overcome that, especially on the road. Just not a thing. The softness of this team really stood out to me in this game. And it's not just all about rebounding. I know that's where it's been a glaring issue for Arkansas for several games here in SEC play so far. But man, it's like they can't hold their position on post ups, whether it's, just creating their own position and sealing a guy off, or just not getting completely back down underneath the rim. Even just, people are like, well, can this team handle the basketball? Like, what's going on? When they put it on the floor, it's softness, because they immediately get some contact and they're pushed right off their spot and they're dribbling off their knee or whatever. That's just the operative word that keeps, coming to the forefront of my mind is softness with this basketball team right now. And it's so frustrating. And it's not all about like weight room strength, and Arkansas is lacking that. Like, hey, don't get me wrong. There ain't no doubt about it. They don't have a bunch of bruisers in there. But I'm just talking about like just being, it's almost like a mindset of being just aggressive and assertive and confident, and just not taking shit from anybody else. And they don't have a lot of that right now. And it continues to pile up on them here. 0-5, man. Listen, the biggest skeptic in the world would not have anticipated this start. It is an abject disaster right now for Arkansas basketball. Like, this is not good. And buddy, they got a couple home games coming up. So like, whatever, but what the hell does that even mean at this point? Like, there's just, I'm trying to find something to hang on to. I don't think there is anything right now. This is bad.
Yeah, I'm sure those home games are totally going to be ruckus, totally. But yeah, you mentioned toughness. And Curtis, I think when you're talking about ability to stop a run, ability to capitalize on a run, like you mentioned, so many times you get momentum in this game and you're like, okay, we cut it to 10 and we're on a good spot. They're just never able to get over that hump. They're not able to build on their success, and they're not able to climb out of a hole when they face adversity. And again, it just kind of comes back to all these things that we've been talking about, not having an identity. But you would just think, and we've used this term urgency a few times. You just think at some point that would show up and there would be at least a half of basketball, or maybe a 10-minute stretch where Arkansas really played desperate. And I keep coming back to, once you lose, it becomes easier and easier to lose. And when you really don't care about the name on the front of the jersey, which I'm not saying all these guys don't care about Arkansas, but I don't think there's a ton of immense pride about the state of Arkansas from this group. And so again, it's just kind of one of those things. It's hard to string together success whenever I don't think you have everyone kind of pulling and rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Let's get into just a few of the stats that maybe stood out, and then we'll go over to the chat. Arkansas didn't shoot a free throw in the first half, and a lot of people had their feelings hurt about that. I don't really know that they should have. Like, there were a couple whistles that probably should have been called. Boogie Flan got his freaking head taken off twice early in the first half, and there were no calls there. Obviously didn't make the difference again. I'm not blaming officiating. But this is what you run into when you're a team that plays a little soft in there, kind of finesse, and you're playing a team in their home arena that's as just aggressive and in your face and intense as Missouri is. They're going to get away with extra. Like, that's life on the road in the SEC, and that style of play. It's the same thing. It happens at Alabama when they play at home. It happens at Auburn when they play at home. Tennessee, that's just a real heavy defensive team. How much difference do they look in Thompson Bowling compared to when they got their ass kicked by Vanderbilt today? Which I shouldn't say ass kicked, because they came back, but they were getting their ass kicked the majority of that game. So, that's just something that's going to happen on the road. But then they only wind up shooting 8 free throws in this game. They go 4 of 8, and Missouri, more than doubles them up. And going into the game, I was like, all right, Missouri leads the country damn near in free throw attempts per game, almost 30 free throws per game they shoot. Only had 19, but it just didn't matter, man. They shot 11 of 23 from 3, and then Arkansas goes 5 of 23. So they wound up having the same amount of attempts, and Missouri more than doubles them there. It's just one of the many reasons why they wound up winning this game in a blowout. And what irritates me about it even more is, I feel like the last several minutes of that game, it was like watching and somebody had the comment, it was like watching a Globetrotters game or like an NBA All-Star game. Missouri was just like trying to throw lobs or, get post or dunks or Let me get a little behind the back pass and see if I can just knock down a three and we can get on Sports Center. Like, it wasn't even about putting the game away and sealing it. It was about just rubbing it in Arkansas's face. And it was kind of exactly what they did, which just makes it all the more irritating. I bet a bunch of Razorback fans turned that shit off before it got to that point. But the last several minutes of that game was really frustrating from that standpoint for sure.
Yeah. Let's hear what our beautiful fan base has to say, Curtis, because I just I don't have much more to add to this result. And again, Curtis, it's one of those things. I'll say is, like I've said a few times, I almost wish they would choose one. Like, if they were just completely inept, it would be easier to swallow, you know? Like, if they had just completely, like, if they really had just quit at halftime, I probably would have had a better time processing that in my brain. But the fact that they were like clawing their way back, and they were trying, and they ramped up the defensive intensity, because I think Missouri only had like 2 turnovers in the first half or something crazy like that. I kind of just wish they would have quit, because then we could have at least just been like, all right, screw these guys, we're done. But we're kind of in that mode where there's like glimmers, and maybe they'll win some games, but it's just not going to be enough. It wasn't enough today, and I have a hard time believing it's going to get better against the best teams in the SEC down the stretch.
Yeah, it's a wrap, man. A quick shout out to Big Z, and we already gave him one, but man, 14 points, 10 rebounds. So he had a double-double in this game. He played really, really well, and that was good to see, because he's a good dude, and he's been struggling, so it was nice to see him get in there. Adu and John L. Davis both essentially benched throughout a majority of the second half, as they should have been, but it's at least worth pointing out. Boogie Flan, he had 6 assists, 0 turnovers, and that blows me away because I thought it was by far the worst game he's played. 2 of 13 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. Just contested long 2 after contested long 2. Rough stuff, and he really struggled defensively. They didn't get much out of DJ Wagner at all. Thero was okay, but he had 4 turnovers in this game. DJ had 4 turnovers in this game. I didn't realize that, but once again, you run into a situation where you do this thing where you have 9 guys and you say you need to get at least something out of all of them, and you're barely getting anything out of most of them. That's problematic. Anyway, let's get to the chat. John Hamm.
He's a great chatter.
St. Louis legend. If we're talking about the actor anyway. He says Cal gets a grade F for year 1 unless things significantly change for the better. Firing him for performance would be completely justified. They're not going to do that. They can't afford it. But as far as if we were going to attach a mid-year grade or an as of today grade, yeah. I mean, it's just they and it's not like they did a damn thing in non-conference play either. They got a really nice win over Michigan in Madison Square Garden. The end. The end. SMU beat Miami by like 50 today. So people can miss me with that one about the road win. Their next best win this season is Lipscomb in their home opener. Anytime they have played a team with a pulse outside of Michigan, they have lost. That is not okay, especially when he's getting paid the money that he is. And this team, in terms of we know it's one of the top 3 to 4 NIL investments in the country. I don't like the pocket watching, but you sure as hell expect better results than what you're getting right now. It's been a failure. There's no other way to put it. So I don't disagree with that. Heartbroken Hog says, Curtis, I'm sorry you have to be out through this garbage. You deserve better. Well, thank you for thinking that. And he followed up and said, Ellis, you deserve better too. You got baseball to look forward to. So I feel worse for Curtis, as you should. But here's the thing. Here's the beauty about it. Is all this means, and I set this up long ago to make sure that I get to hang out in some of these bombastic post games or live streams. I'm going to be around. Listen, I'm jumping on the coattails, buddy, because I need some wins. All right.
No trips in March. You're going to be, as soon as they start SEC play, normally, when Arkansas starts SEC play, that's when the NCAA tournament for basketball is happening. Yeah. You'll be fully dialed in.
Exactly, man. I'm telling you, I'm about to be all in on baseball. What I'm going to do tomorrow, and I've listened to a good number of them, but I'm just going to start at the very beginning of the bombastic playlist from when you started doing these. It's going to be a marathon all day, buddy. I'm going to listen to every single one of them. I'm going to be caught up on this team. I can't wait.
Feel free to just critique my takes and be like, Andrew, actually, you know, I'm not seeing it with Ryder Helfrich's bat, man. I don't know. Like, I'll appreciate that.
Yeah, who the hell am I to critique anything right now? But Jacob Kloster says, I don't see any development, let alone attempts at trying to coach these guys. I mean, I cannot disagree with you on development. Like who is better now than they were at the beginning of the season? It's hard to say anybody at this point. And the attempts to coach these guys, I mean, is this what dragging them across the finish line looks like? Is this what teaching them to win looks like? Or like, are we waiting for those lessons? Like, did the snow postpone like that part of the day? Like, I got to go look at the syllabus and see where it falls on the course calendar on when we're going to have these lessons taught. It hasn't happened yet. They're trying, okay, but clearly they're not doing the right things, or like the message isn't hitting home, whatever. And I'm sure, you know, as soon as this video gets caught up to where BBN hears it, they'll be like, it's never going to change. Hell, maybe it won't. I don't know. Yeah. But we still got to talk about this. Like we got to. And
again, I'll say to BBN, I would kill my firstborn child that has not happened yet so that I could achieve some of the disappointments that you guys had to endure. Oh, God forbid you went 13-5 in SEC play and lost to Oakland. I would love that. Hell, Arkansas, we got to win over Oakland. I know
show me Jack Goldie, man.
Yeah. I would love to be a NCAA tournament disappointment. It's a lot better than being a CBI disappointment, which is what this team's headed for.
Exactly. Brad, who I assume is a Kentucky fan, says this is what you wanted.
No,
it's not.
We wanted to win in the regular season and lose in the postseason. We wanted to get to the postseason. That's what we wanted.
Oh, Ozzy Maverick, we appreciate the super chat, brother. You've been on a heater late. I got to give credit where it's due, man. You had me going today after the infiltrating Kentucky as a spy thing. That was a good video.
It was very good. The resurgence of Ozzy Maverick lately has been a real positive development. Silver lining for this Razorback fan base.
God. Samuel Brooks, he says, Boogie sucks. Can they just not play him for a whole game and just do an 8-man rotation? Well, yeah, I mean, they could do that, but would you prefer John L. Davis play 40 minutes? Would you prefer Carter Knox play 40 minutes? Would you want DJ at point guard for 40 minutes? You know what I'm saying? He has really ran into a freshman ball, a reality check, whatever you want to call it, in SEC play. It's been struggle bus city for Boogie, man. I am happy that he's not turning it over much. And again, like it just blows me away that he was 6 assists and 0 turnovers in this game, but the efficiency, the ability to score has really, really gone downhill. And here's the biggest thing with Boogie. If you are a guard in this league and you can't score around the rim, you're going to struggle. And he can't score around the rim. If you're a guard in the SEC and you're old enough to buy a beer, you're going to be able to defend Boogie Flan right now. And it's just that, again, the freshman wall, man, like that's what he's running into. Yeah. And it's been a struggle. And he's got to make some adjustments because he took some horrible shots tonight. And I love me some Boogie Flan, man. But my goodness, just some ill-advised, poorly timed, got to grow up if Arkansas is going to win some games here in SEC play for sure.
Yeah, he's running into the freshman wall, but he's also running into competent defenses, which is a huge part of it. But yeah, I feel like every single game in SEC play, there's been at least one moment where Arkansas's had momentum and it's been halted by a pull-up jumper, ill-advised. He took a step-back 3 off 0 passes in a time where Arkansas was kind of clawing their way back in. It was just like, oh my God, it's like one of those shots that you just cannot excuse, and he takes 5 of them every single game.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of it, and I'm not letting him off the hook because it's got to stop. But he is like the only guy that can create a shot, and it's tough when you're the only guy on the roster, pretty much, that can create a shot. But there are only certain shots that you can create, and they're mostly low percentage ones. You know what I mean? Yeah. He just can't finish around the rim right now, and he really hasn't done it much all season. So, whew. Man, those flaws are starting to really show. Everything's amplified when you're on a big losing streak like this, and rightfully so. Super Python 98, we appreciate the super chat. He says, love Cal's jacket tonight. I didn't. I didn't at all. And I've kind of done the thing where I'm like, like whatever, who cares what they wear? Mustn't those dudes would wear polos? Although I thought they looked sharp because they would all wear the same thing. But when you're trying to sell, I'm here. We love Arkansas. We're Razorbacks now. Maybe, I mean, what's he making? 8 million or something? Like, just go get a red blazer or wear black, or just not wear the Kentucky blue. Like if you really want people to buy into that, I don't know if he is even giving it a second thought. Probably not. But still, it's like, it's aesthetics, man. Like it's the optics of the matter. Half your coaching staff still has the Kentucky blue rims on their glasses. And it's like, I get it. It's a prescription thing, but you're probably making enough money where you can get those switched over to something normal or red, or, and like, again, like, I don't think it's not a subtle message that they're trying to send or anything like that, but it's like, okay, well, you say you're embracing this. Are you?
Well, that's the thing. When you have everyone questioning whether or not you really care, whether or not you're really a hog, because everybody's been doing the thing about the hog call too. He hasn't called the hogs on camera, to my knowledge, and people really get worked up about that. And I kind of laughed at that at his first press conference. But like when it's up for questioning, I feel like you should, like you said, kind of overcompensate. And Eric Musselman did that, where he was showing up to the baseball games in full uniform, where it was like, he was like, oh yeah, I'm embracing the hog, like to the point where we kind of were like, all right, relax a little bit. Cal's the exact opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Archer, we appreciate the quoteless, the commentless super chat there.
That's big time.
From time to time. We appreciate it. Mizzou Blues. Wonder where they're from. Wow, it's crazy to see an opposing fan base that's not Kentucky after one of these games. Like, I don't even know what to do with this. He says, Mr. Neighbors, MIA, and awfully silent this evening. Mr. Neighbors is never on this show, first of all.
No.
It's not his thing. He wasn't on the football post games either. I mean, it's just, this is what Andrew and I do. Usually he's behind the scenes and getting us clips from the press conference, which he's not doing tonight. He's actually down in Louisiana in the boot, Andrew's home.
He's tending to a friend who had a tragedy in their life.
Yeah.
Can he do that? But yeah, it's every single stream someone says something about neighbors just skipped out. He's not on the show. He's also skipping out on Mondays, Bombastic as well. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. We were in the same room with him at Brothers Meat House for the LSU game, and we did a full watch party the entire game with him. Started the post game. He wasn't on it. It's just not his
right.
thing.
It's just, I mean, it's a precedent.
Witty, we appreciate you. He said Tyson deserves a refund. Yeah, hell, maybe he does. I just hope he's willing to write the same amount on the check for next year's roster. That's where I'm at, brother.
It's gonna be a tough ask, dude. When he goes in there and he's like, "Hey, we've got these really good transfers we're gonna get," and he's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Hog on it says, "Boys, just have a drink and just know this is the bottom. It takes tough Razorback fans to live through these days." Yeah. I mean, I get it, and don't you worry. The drinks are going to be flowing soon. In fact, Andrew and I are going to be convening with some buddies here.
Matter of fact, we're closing up shop right now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been real. We'll see you guys. Thanks. Let's see. JP, Kentucky fan, says, when was the last time Arkansas started 0-5 in the SEC? Not showing. Real question. Hasn't happened.
I was about to say, I don't think it has, right?
The last time it happened was about 20 minutes ago when this game ended. So, and it hadn't happened before that, unfortunately. Yeah, a lot of people are not crazy about that Blazer today. Major Swag says Cal's going to teach him how to win. We're waiting on that to happen. Kyle Shroom says, I think you start Knox or Richmond instead of Davis. I have a couple thoughts. One, Davis hasn't started in
months.
Yeah. He's pretty much in the 6-man role here. Knox started the first 4 games of this SEC losing streak and frankly, played piss poor in all 4 of those games. Then he came off the bench today and played better than he has. Richmond, man, people love Billy Richmond, and it's because he plays so hard. Like, he gives so much energy and effort out there, and I appreciate that too. I really do. Got to do the other things also. I realize you're to the point where it's like nobody's playing well in all areas. So sure, like maybe you give him a shot there, but it's like, got to rebound, led in transition and threw an alley-oop right to a Mizzou player. Had another opportunity in transition where a Euro stepped and airballed a layup. 2 fouls right away. Just getting lost out there on offensive deep. But yes, he plays very hard. He dives for loose balls. But like the other stuff has to catch up if he's really going to be able to take off. And I'm thinking just like from the staff standpoint of trusting him in tight games or down the stretch or, as a starter, those are the things right now that are missing from him. But when you have multiple guys out there who aren't giving max effort and aren't diving for loose balls and playing with pride and the kind of energy that the fans are looking for, and he is, maybe you're onto something, man.
Yeah. Is he the worst transition offensive player in Arkansas sports history?
It's tough, man. it's a rough go. It's a rough go for sure. Josh Jones says he's proud of Big Z and how he played today. I was too. It's good.
Genuinely. I thought he had some really awesome moments. The commentators were like, dude, this guy's a monster. Missouri has never seen anything like this.
Yeah. This is a good question here, and I want to get your take on it. John Hamm, again, he says, I feel confident you take our group of players and let literally any other SEC coach have them for this season, and they would be much better.
I think so. I think there's very much something to that. And look, I understand we're all very hard on Cal, as we should be. I mean, this thing has been a disaster. Like, I don't know if that would be true about every Cal team necessarily, because I think there's something to what he does. I mean, the guy hasn't had all his success on accident, because I think there's a freedom that comes with playing with Cal that, like, some of it's allowed some of his teams to have really, really high ceilings. But with this particular group in this particular season with Cal in this state that he's in, I don't know if I could make an argument against it. I mean, hell, whoever you think the worst coach in the SEC is, I mean,
they're doing more with less. All of them. I'll tell you who.
Literally, I mean, McMahon would be one of those guys. He literally just beat you. Yeah, 100%. So
Porter Mosier is the one guy that couldn't do it, and he'll probably beat Arkansas in Bud a week from today.
100%, so. Exactly. So it's like we'll have our chance to prove it. But no, I think this is a good. That's a great comment from Mr. Ham, St. Louis legend.
Yeah. Hillbilly Shakespeare says, "We told you so, piggies." No, you didn't.
I want to find what Kentucky fans said y'all were going to go winless in SEC play.
Right.
If someone can find me a receipt that's like, "Hey guys, y'all are going to be bad in the regular season and not even make the tournament."
Have a historically poor start to SEC play.
Right.
Nobody thought
Cal
that
always does that. And you have the fact check on this. Cal very much does not always do that. In fact, in SEC play, even the worst teams that you've hated have actually fared way better than this Arkansas team, for sure.
Exactly. Josh Jones says, just kick Nelly Davis and AD off the team and we will win a game. Well, neither one of them really played in the second half, and they didn't win. So
they did not win. No.
Yeah. I just,
they were only outscored by one though.
And I get it. Like it's a huge underlying factor as to why Arkansas stinks right now. It's because when you got John L. Davis and you got Jonas Adu, you got your veteran playmaking go-to guy in the backcourt, and you have an all SEC proven big man. Those are your anchors, and you fill in all the pieces around them. And neither one of them have been not even competent role players for you so far on a consistent basis. Huge problem. It goes even beyond that at this point, man. So I feel you though. It's very frustrating to see that not pan out. And I know like people know the investment that's gone into it and everything like that. I get it for sure. Yet he says watching Arkansas is like watching Cal's last 5 UK teams. It's like pulling teeth. No, it's not.
I don't understand why this is such a hard concept for people to grasp. Like you think we weren't aware of the
taking your victory laps because it's worse here than it was for you.
Like 1000%. And like, look, that's 100% valid. Like I see this comment as well. It's like, why did y'all think y'all would be better with Calipari than Kentucky the past 4 years? Hell, we didn't say we would be better than what Kentucky's been the past 4 years. That's what we thought we were getting. What Cal was at Kentucky the past 4 years, I would sign up for that today, right now. But that's not what's going on.
Here's what I thought, and I've already admitted that I was wrong about this. It's very clear, and I'm not alone because pretty much every damn person who covers college basketball thought this. I thought Arkansas this year would be better than Kentucky this year. They are not. Mark Pope has done a terrific job with that basketball team. John Calipari has done a terrible job with his. And so here we are. But yeah, I don't, it's just the revisionist history is weird. I've said a lot of things. We've said a lot of things that we could get heat about. Like there's no need in making shit up. Hog Film Room, appreciate you. He says monthly subscription fee. Y'all are better entertainment than the Hogs. Thanks for all y'all do. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And you're a good follow too, by the way. Some really good stuff. And if I'm ever looking for lineup information, it's usually your profile that I click on. Ozzy, we appreciate you again. He says, blame it on the bougie MJ Cal. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Chef Borley's just apologizing. Yeah.
We're getting a lot of sympathy these days.
This is what we got to do now. Sean Phillips, thank you again. He says, I believe Arkansas is cursed. And it's hard not to feel that way right now, but Arkansas, and this is the funny thing about it, over the last 5 years has been a better basketball program than Kentucky. And I think that's what people forget. Musk killed it, man. Like it ended so sourly. Last year was a complete disaster. He was trying to get the hell out of here, and he did. But those 3 years that we had recently, with the multiple Elite Eights, 3-second weekends, I mean, it was some awesome runs. So I don't know, like if this is just karma catching up to you. It's like, hey, Arkansas they were getting a little bit too good there for a minute. They were becoming like nationally prominent. Let's bring them back down with a reality check in a major way. Maybe that's what's going on here. But yeah, this has been just brutal.
Whoever's got our voodoo doll, stop.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Christian Burr says, I knew Andrew was an LSU fan. Go Tigers, boots up.
Where did you get that? Like,
I'm glad you're getting it.
The purple that I'm wearing.
I just lived in Missouri for a while, and everybody's like, he's a Mizzou fan. Like you grew up in LSU in Louisiana. Nobody gives you that business. So thank you.
My friends would get a real kick out of that. They were like, if they knew I was getting accused of being an LSU fan.
Couldn't be further from the truth, but it's funny. I'm glad that just happened. Then he also says LSU has won in football, basketball, baseball. Next. Well,
listen. Why are other okay? I get why Kentucky fans are dunking on Arkansas.
Where were you like 3 days ago?
You fan in here trying to dunk on us? Like we're not even arguing with you. Like you beat us in basketball the other day. Like that's when we knew that we stunk. Like we're not arguing with you.
We can't even say anything about it. That's the big problem here. So,
no.
Benny Baum says maybe coach will try to run an actual offense. What coach?
I think next game's going to be the game he rolls it out, I think.
Yeah, that's no, it's just not. I can't even joke about that.
Were you going to say something inappropriate or what?
Yeah, I was, and then I stopped it. Okay, we're just about done here, folks. We're going to catch up and get to the bottom of the chat here and then see what
the fellas have to say.
Here we go again. Quinn Thomas, he says, I'm an Auburn fan, but I watch y'all's basketball stuff. Y'all should have never hired Cal. Well, we appreciate you for tuning in. I will throw out there, by the way, that I and the notoriously absent John Neighbors will be at Auburn. I think the 19th of February is when that game is. I'm sure that's going to go swimmingly, but we're looking forward to getting down there and checking out that atmosphere. Seems like it's really, really cool. And has come highly recommended, so we're excited about that, I guess.
I have a couple chats here that we might have to address.
Throw them up.
HH said that Biddy tweeted that Boogie has a hand injury and will sit for a while, and then someone else followed up with Boogie Flan injured allegedly. Maybe Cal said something at the presser, I'm guessing, because obviously we have been sitting here. But I was not aware of like that he's going to be out for a while.
I mean, add him to the list. You know, like he's about the only one that hasn't had to miss time at this point. That's unfortunate if it's true, but all those people that are saying if he needs to be benched for a game and see if they can win, maybe you're gonna get your opportunity there. I mean, he played damn near the entire game, so it was like he was just so poor in this game that Cal's like, you know what, we're just gonna shut him down. Or did he hurt it during the game? I wonder. Whatever. We'll see. We'll listen to the press conference later. Hopefully it's nothing long-term for him. And here's the thing too. You got 2 more games and you get that week off. You know what I mean? Like where people could like actually heal up without having to miss game time or whatever. Yeah. And it's like 2 of your only semi-real opportunities to win a basketball game for the next 4 weeks or something. So, you know, you probably wouldn't want to miss your point guard there, but
hey, shout out to Jeff Goodman though. He was right.
Yeah. Yeah, he nailed it, man. He usually does. So let's see. Cal needs 12 5-star guys minimum.
Okay. I mean, that'd be nice.
I'd be okay with that if it happened there. I just saw you start this one, so I'm going to pull it up. It says, so what is Cal doing?
It was just a funny one. I wanted to let you answer it.
What is Cal doing any different now than he did at UK? So why expect anything different? Who? I sound like a fucking owl. Who expected anything different? I mean, I certainly didn't. What I will say is I held out hope in the offseason that some of the offensive things that they did last year at Kentucky with Welch, who I understand is not with Cal now, I was hoping he'd carry some of that over. A lot more of that over, than he has. And so it's kind of gone back to the stuff that I know drove people nuts, man, at Kentucky for a few years before that. Not naive to that. Watched a lot of it. We talked about it, and lead up to Arkansas playing Kentucky of how he's got a lot of talent, but man, some of that stuff he's running, buddy, it's outdated. It's archaic. It's elementary. We know, we get it for sure. I was hoping that he'd bring up some of that modern stuff that he had under Welch, but it just hasn't happened. So,
and it cannot be overstated. Like, the belief was in the roster, which obviously only has 9 guys, which a lot of people were very concerned about to begin with. The belief was in these pieces kind of being good enough to overcompensate, and they just aren't.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, appreciate everybody for tuning in, even though it's a lot of people from elsewhere. This is actually a good chat. We've had a couple of these after games where it's like, God, man, this is getting off the rails and people are freaking out and being mean or whatever. This is actually, this has been really good, entertaining.
Because dude, people are like calling off the dogs at this point. Like, they've seen how bad, and they're just like, there's no sense in even piling on here.
Exactly. It's all in good fun, I think. So, let's see. This is funny. Joshua Cook says, when is the tweet coming? I think he just tried it.
That was it. That was the big lineup. It was weird that he started 2 big men, and then the one that didn't start ended up being the competent one.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good point. Jesus, man. It's where we're at now. Johnny Young says, Curtis, is the game past Cal by? Well, who the hell am I to say if it has or not? But it's hard to escape those allegations given the current situation here. So we just have to see how it plays out. God, yeah, I think people are madder about him wearing that blazer today than they are the actual result of the game.
Yeah.
And
when the games at this point don't matter as much, when it just kind of all blends together. So more power to him.
Yeah, for sure, man. Here we go again. Leanne Robinson says, I'm a Kentucky fan. I never understood why Arkansas thought Kentucky would run a great coach out of town. We put up with it for years, and y'all haven't even had a full season. I know it's worse. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it is worse.
Kentucky fan that's acknowledged.
Yeah,
that it is actually worse at Arkansas than it was at Kentucky. Like, can we at least agree on that?
Right. No, like this, we didn't live under, like, Fayetteville is not a rock that we live underneath. We've seen what's been going on at Kentucky. Understand the frustration, get the stubbornness, the struggles in the NCAA, all of that. Like, that is not lost on anybody here. The hope was that he would carry over what was a really fun, exciting offense from last year. That hasn't happened. And that, fresh start, like he said, he felt like Kentucky needed a new voice. He probably needed a new audience, but only one of those things was true. It appears, because the new voice over Kentucky is doing a hell of a job. And his audience here is, getting increasingly pissed off at how this is going down. And listen, I'm not going to talk him off the ledge, man, because I don't blame him. I'm irritated too. Let me scroll down towards the bottom and see if we got anything else cool here, and then we'll get out of here because
we got a couple supers.
We got some
supers. I don't know if we got to.
Yeah, pull them up.
Which comes from this young man.
Hey, there he is.
Hello, Darkness, my old friend from Bossier City, fellas. Didn't get to watch the game, but there's no need when you have PATP, that is Pot at the Palace. Hit that like button. Very good comment from Mr. Neighbors. I like every time he comments with this profile picture, I'm like, Oh, we're getting it's from a time machine. It's 2012, John Neighbors.
Yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you, buddy, and we hope everything's going well down there. We explained your absence to a Mizzou fan that was demanding your presence. I don't know if you caught that or not, and hopefully we broke this game down from start to finish in sufficient manner. So, oh man, I don't know. Final thoughts? Anything else you need to get off of your chest before we call it a wrap on this one?
No, seriously though, like, I mean, you know, we made a lot of jokes and we're making light of the situation because we're like past the point of anger and disappointment. So we're kind of like laughing through the pain. That's exactly what we're doing. But I do want to speak to Razorback fans where I just say, don't let people tell you that you should not be pissed. You should not be upset and you shouldn't be embarrassed. Don't try to let anyone soften this blow and be like, well, actually, but this is a complete disaster. It's not what we signed up for. It's not what we all thought we were getting. And you know, BBN's going to dunk on you. You have to accept that. But don't feel like, you know, anyone's lying to you and they're going to like act like, oh no, you should have seen this coming. Even BBN, don't let BBN convince you. You should have seen an 0-5 start on SEC play coming. You should be pissed and you should demand better. That's what we're going to try to do.
That is what we're going to try to do. And I'm
sure we'll get it.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of opportunities to try to do that. And we'll see if people listen, see what happens. I think we have one more actually. Sharkensaw. Did we pull this up? I don't think we did.
No, we did not.
We appreciate the super chat. He says Cal has another Hunter Yurchek L. He couldn't hire a real coach, so he got the one that fell in his lap as a last ditch effort. Hunter is done. I always love this because we wouldn't give him credit for the hire when it was cool.
And now we're blaming
it was Tyson, and now we're blaming him when it's not working out, kind of deal. But that man, he's going through it, and I don't feel sorry for him either. So there you have it. But in all seriousness, appreciate everybody for tuning in for real, especially the Razorback fans. You're number one in our hearts by far. But everybody else tune in because we get it. Like Calipari is he's a big brand, man, and people love to prey on his downfall. And really, he's just somebody that's been polarizing. We know that a lot of people follow him, and you know, we're not naive to what's going on around here. Tough stuff for the Razorbacks, and I don't know. Like we'll be back to talk about it in the morning. We'll talk about Inside Arkansas Live, and we'll continue to do these after the games for better or for worse. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, man, go ahead and do that. We'd appreciate it. The Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. For Andrew Ellis has been Curtis Wilkerson with the pod at the Palace, and we will see y'all when we see you. Everybody have a good week.